join me today for part 2 of the 10 things I love about my disability. Number 5. I love that my disability allows me to more easily engage with kids in a positive way. I know we're not all obligated to be fans of children, but I am. I love kids, and I will go out of my way to work with kids whenever possible. In my coaching practice, I work with kids with disabilities to grow self-empowerment, self-esteem, and creativity and resilience so that they can explore their interests and potential in any way that they want. And so I love working with kids. I always have. Both of my parents are retired elementary school teachers, and I think that has a lot to do with why I enjoy being around youthful energy so much. I value the opportunity and privilege to mentor and guide children, and so it's really important to me that I am able to connect with a child in a meaningful and positive way, especially since I might be the first and only person with disabilities that child will have met at this point in their life. And so it's really important to me to make that a really positive experience that they can use in the future to grow from. It's funny when I think about why I am able to connect with kids so easily. I wonder if it is because many times we are at eye level. Sitting in my wheelchair, I am at about 4.5 feet. So, as you can imagine, I look up to adults, but I am usually eye level with the younger people in my life. And that always allows for better communication and connection. Another thing that I think makes it easier for kids to connect with me is that they might see me as a young person as well. Many times a child will come up to me in public with questions, and that's awesome. And they don't always approach me as if I am an adult, although that is ideal. It's not necessarily that I prefer to be regarded by children as a child, but that lack of distinction for them, I think, helped to break down some barriers between us. One of my favorite questions that I get a lot from kids is, "Do you sleep in your wheelchair?" And that's such a funny question to me because out of everything, out of all the things that they're looking at and processing when they see me, that is probably the sweetest, most innocent and obvious questions they could come up with. And I am always here for it. I really value the opportunity to educate and connect with kids in a meaningful way whenever and however that is possible. And so I view my disability as another vehicle to make that connection happen. And I am very grateful for it. Number 4. I love that COVID-era concessions are becoming standard modes of operating for many businesses. I don't want to pretend that the pandemic or the past 3 years have been anything but tragic and traumatic for the entire world on a collective level, right? I think we are all very familiar with the loss and the pain and the uncertainty that so many of us continue to feel today, even after 3 years of living through this experience. And so when I talked about anything positive that has come as a result of COVID-19 and the pandemic, I do so in celebration of silver linings, let's put it that way, because I myself continue to mourn and heal from my experiences over the past 3 years. And so I am not here to make light of any of that or to discredit or devalue the experiences of people who have suffered unimaginable loss and trauma as a result of the pandemic. I know for myself personally, I really appreciate the fact that I can attend doctor's appointments online via telemedicine. I love the fact that I can order my groceries and have them delivered directly to my home instead of having to arrange a caregiver and transportation. And I'm also particularly pleased to see that employers and companies all around the country are beginning to implement systems and arrangements that used to be regarded as strict accommodations for employees with disabilities. So, for example, we are all getting quite accustomed to Zoom and Zoom fatigue and taking meetings online from the comfort of our homes. But it wasn't that long ago that working from home was regarded as a reasonable accommodation, championed and enforced by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. So the option to work from home was really regarded as a step forward for disability accommodations. And now we are recognizing that a huge number of workers can benefit from having the option to work from home. And this also applies to kids. You know, we forget that prior to the pandemic, many students with disabilities and chronic illnesses could not attend class with their peers on a regular basis. And of course, this is detrimental to learning and relationship building and all of the skills that students need to grow and expand their own experiences. And so with the pandemic and with the reality that learning had to be done online, this opened the door to students who previously were asking and advocating for online learning options. And so I can't help but be really glad that teachers and administrators have opened their minds and become comfortable delivering quality educational lessons online that are now available to so many more students than was previously expected. Number 3, I love that my disability has taught me a deep respect and appreciation for nurses and other medical providers. You know, it's not a leap to guess that I have spent my fair share of time in hospitals and among nurses and doctors and therapists and specialists in any number of medical fields. And I'm glad for it, honestly. At the end of the day, yes, those experiences are largely coupled with pain and illness and fear on some level. But my experiences with nurses and doctors and caregivers in general has also taught me that people are capable of such a huge amount of compassion and empathy and healing, and that the power of care and comfort is so paramount to physical health and mental health. And so I have to celebrate the efforts and the energy that nurses and doctors and caregivers give to their patients, because at the end of the day, they give of themselves even when there might not be anything left to give. And that relentless commitment to caring and to providing for someone else's well-being is humbling and beautiful. And once you've been witness to that, it is very difficult to take it for granted ever again. So I am just so humbled and appreciative of the opportunity that I've had to witness that grace and beauty in others. And it is a gift that I will regard very highly the rest of my life. Number 2. I love that my disability has always led me down a path of service and healing. From a very young age, I felt a very strong sense of purpose and meaning for myself and my experience and what I wanted my experience to mean for other people. I think I identified my disability as a unique opportunity in many ways from fairly early on in life, because I always regarded my presence and my situation as an opportunity and a launching point to grow connection and grow awareness and respect. I think that sense of purpose and that interest in serving others was really instilled in me also by my parents and my caregivers growing up, because my parents always prioritized giving and sharing and being a part of a larger group. And so I don't think there's ever a time in my life that I haven't been engaged or working towards a cause or an effort outside of myself and my own personal interests. That is, I imagine, in large part due to my disability and the fact that I am so acutely aware of the disability experience and some of the difficulties that can arise out of that. Of course, I would not be in a role of service or healing if I did not genuinely believe that progress can be made. And that's an important thing to recognize also, because while, my disability can inform my opinions and the way that I think about different issues and topics, I am so grateful for the fact that my disability has given me a positive lens to look through, so that I am able to not only see and identify difficulties and roadblocks and barriers, but I know without having to be told that a better way is possible. I am very grateful for that, and I am very glad that I am able to communicate and share my perspective and some of the things that I've learned with others. Number 1, I love that my disability awarded me a rich upbringing with multicultural influences. I am humbled and in awe over the quality of relationships that I have enjoyed over the years with my nurses and caregivers, and I hope to carry those experiences with me the rest of my life, not only as tools to learn from, but as ways of being for myself. Because it is so important for me to carry forward the compassion and empathy and open-mindedness that I have been afforded and that I have been gifted by my caregivers. And so I can only hope to repay that on to others in my life, because I know what it is to see someone and to see them for all that they give, even when they don't have it within themselves to give it necessarily. And once you have experienced that yourself, it's impossible to turn a blind eye to it again. Another reason that I am so grateful for having so many nurses and caregivers in my life is that I have been gifted glimpses into worlds and realities that I myself will never experience. For one thing, I have been introduced to foods and cultures that have brought so many layers of meaning and enjoyment into my life that I am forever grateful. At the end of the day, I'm a foodie. If you put a food item in front of me that you value and you cherish and you care about, I promise I will celebrate it with you, and I will be so happy to have seconds. So thank you. Thank you to the countless people who have helped me live this life of mine and who have enriched it and really expanded my world by just being you and giving me the gift of getting to know you. You have no idea. If you're enjoying the content that we are putting out for you, please subscribe to this channel. If you have liked everything that you've seen today, please click like. And otherwise, if you want to keep in touch and be up to date on everything we have going on, hit the notification bell, and we are excited to see you next week. Cheers!